People use the God of the gaps as a criticism. But what if it actually reveals something fundamental about the nature of existence? Could the God of the gaps be real? My name is Hal Miles, artist, musician, and author of The Always Unknown. The phrase the God of the gaps refers to using God as an explanation for things that humans cannot explain scientifically. In the past, it was used to explain a lot of natural phenomena that we widely understand today. We don't know what causes lightning. Therefore, God must do it. We don't know why some of the stars move in different patterns from others. It must be God. Even today, we still use God to fill in gaps for things that we don't understand. One of the first things that comes to mind is our consciousness. We don't know how it works. Therefore, it must be God. We still don't know what came before the universe. Therefore, it gotta be God, right? The phrase first use is widely contributed to Henry Drummond. Drummond was a 19th century evangelical lecturer and writer who ironically criticized fellow Christians for using God to fill in the gaps for things we didn't understand scientifically. He felt that by using God in this way, it put a limit on scientific discovery. Drummond didn't see his faith in science as a conflict, but instead he saw the science as a what and God as a who. He felt that by using God in the gaps of those unexplainable things, it put a limit on science as well as a limit on God's existence. He saw God as something being in all things, and science being the way that we can interact and understand. As a result of the way that he used the phrase God of the gaps, it's still used negatively to this day in debates between science and religion as a way of saying, you're using ignorance as evidence. Unfortunately, we do have a long history as humans of using God to fill in these unexplainable things and then persecuting those who dare to defy that final answer in the name of science. I can only imagine how much quicker we would have gotten to some of these scientific discoveries and technology had we had a much more open mind and not viewed these inquiries as a challenge against God. But what if the persistence of the gap itself point to something greater? I mean, no matter how much we learn, we can never truly get rid of the gap. And if we can't get rid of it, does that mean that the God of the gaps is part of our very existence? About 2 years ago, I discovered a concept which I call the always unknown. The always unknown is the space in which all the things that we don't know exist. That very space is the gap in which we sometimes attribute it to God. You see, no matter how much we learn, no matter how much we push that gap back, it's always there, always present. It's not pointing to the fact that things can or cannot be learned. It's pointing to the realization that there's always something you don't know, and it's always there in this space. Every discovery begins with the gap itself and us wanting to know. But really, the God of the gaps lives inside of the always unknown. The deeper truth is that as humans, we're always looking to solve our uncertainty. And when we're faced with this uncertainty that sometimes makes us very uncomfortable, we use our belief in God to fill in those gaps. The real danger in false certainty is that you shut down curiosity and you stop the progression of knowledge. The truth of the matter is, science, as well as religion and spirituality, are both trying to solve the problem of uncertainty. The mystery goes very well with science. Science explains the mechanisms, but it does not explain existence itself. It may very well be that existence may be far outside of our understanding and our limited perspective. The reason why I stumbled upon that concept of the always unknown is because I myself was looking for certainty. Being raised in the Christian church myself, I had a love for the Bible, and I had a curiosity when it comes to the unknown and God. I spent many years investigating my relationship with God and wanting to understand God and my purpose in this universe. It wasn't until 2 years ago that I had a moment myself when I realized I'm not certain about anything. And then it hit me. Of course I can't be, because there's always something you don't know. And in that realization, it dawned on me that the unknown is a fundamental part of our nature, that it exists with us, it is us. And it's what drives our curiosity in wanting to know things like the nature of the universe, our existence, who we are, increase our technology, as well as coexist with the rest of nature itself. I say all that to say that maybe the God of the gaps and the always unknown is pointing to the same phenomenon. When we use God to fill in those gaps that we're incapable of yet, it doesn't take away the fact that those gaps are still there. And when we finally fill in those gaps with an explanation, another gap appears. Therefore, the God that we're using to fill in that gap is very well pointing to a real concept. One could say that the God of the gaps lives in that space, and that space is what I call the always unknown.